Hey, what's up guys? So we are going to be going over the top 5 decks for Link format. Now in the TCG, we haven't had a defining tournament that can really set this apart. However, in the OCG, by getting a bunch of stats from tournaments and doing a bunch of homework, I got it for you guys. These are the decks that have been doing the best in terms of tournament play in OCG. Now their list is a little bit different, but most of the stuff is actually better in the TCG because we have some limitations, but pretty much we always look at the OCG to see what's winning there, and then we basically copy it because they're basically a few months ahead in the format, not only because of newer cards, but also people can kind of evolve a little bit faster over there because they've had the interaction with the whole Link summons. Now what's funny with this, guys, going into Link format, there's very few decks that actually utilize Link summons in the top areas, and I was kind of surprised by that because I was thinking that, you know, this new mechanic, we would have all seen at least one deck really do well with it, but most of the top decks aren't really even utilizing it. But there are some decks which we'll get into and we'll talk a little bit about. But the first thing that we're going to be going over is the Dracos. Now this is basically like 25% of the decks that are winning are variants of Draco, whether it's Invoked, there's the Spellbook version, there's a lot of versions of True Draco. And again, in the TCG, we technically have multiple masterpieces, we have multiple terraformings, and on top of that, the most important thing, multiple dragonic diagrams. But like I said, keep in mind this is the OCG list, however, pretty much it's going to be relevant. Like, it's pretty much going to be the same, especially you know, going into the future. We're probably going to get the same treatment with Dracos unless they just ban this guy, which I think a lot of players would be happy with because I hate dealing with this card because it's good. But that said, I've been ranting long enough. Let's go over the deck profiles, and then I'll talk like briefly like about the deck, like, you know, give a brief synopsis of it in about like 30 seconds after we go over the deck profiles. But let's get started with the True Draco deck. Now, we got one masterpiece because, yeah, well, I mean, you really need more. You can recycle it anyways. But anyways, next up we have 3 copies of Dynamite. Then we have 1 Ignis Heat, triple Alistair, 3 copies of Ghost Ash. This is pretty much relevant in all the decks. Next up we got triple Ghost Ogre, double Maxi, and double Effectiveness. Man, massive hand traps right now. Then we have 2 copies of Terraforming, 2 copies of Invocation, 2 copies of Cosmic Cyclone, 3 copies of True Draco Heritage, 2 copies of Disciples of the True Draco Phoenix, 1 copy of Dragonic Diagram, 2 copies of Magical Meltdown, 2 copies of Waterfall of Dragon Souls, 3 copies of True King's Return, 3 copies of True Draco Apocalypse. For the extra deck, Elysian the Edleon Beast, and then we got Merkaba, 2 copies of him, then 2 copies of the Mangelica, 1 copy of ABC Bus Dragon. This is only used, guys, for the Ghost Reaper. You're not actually going to make this card in this deck. It's for the side deck. But he didn't actually side this. I'll get into that in a second. Anyways, we got the Invoked Purgatrio. Then we have the Invoked Coctus. We have 1 copy of Raideen, 1 copy of Kaliga, 1 Denlong. Again, this is for Ghost Reaper. And then we have Utopia Lightning, that setup, and then Exoton. I know we don't have this guy in the TCG, but it's usually you're using it in a down state where this guy got too many free cards with the True Dracos, and you try to make this to hope you're gonna come back, but usually you don't. That's what this guy's for. But I mean, there are times when you win. Don't get me wrong. This card it can steal games, but usually when you're at such a disadvantage versus a deck, it's a nightmare sometimes. But anyways, especially when they got this guy out on board. But anyways, this card, guys, is actually Proxy Dragon. That is this card over here. That's what he looks like. Again, it can technically be used. It can definitely still help the deck, but I would say there's hardly any Link like decks. It's just a lot of like, oh, I'll run like 1 Firewall Dragon, 1 Proxy Dragon, 1 of this. You know, it's not really a Link format going into the future, which is good and bad. Some of you guys really want to try this stuff. And some of you other competitive players, I don't want Links. I don't want Links. It's not really even the Link format going in with the Link format. Again, it's just not that relevant. Again, Dracos are pretty much like 25% of what I would consider the meta. It's the True Dracos. This is the Invoked version. There's a lot of other variants of the True Draco, but the Invoked one seems to be doing the best. Next up, though, guys. We got the Dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are pretty good. They're taking about like 12.5%, I would say, about what they are doing in the OCG. Oh, I guess I should go over what Dracos do. They make this guy, and he's really hard to get over. They got a lot of extra free advantage, because if your opponent does anything, you get free cards, and you can kind of work around. The grind game can get pretty dirty for this deck at times, but again, with the Invoke version, you have access to a lot of stuff that just stops your opponent in their tracks and just causes a lot of problems. Like, dude, this guy is really annoying. This guy's, oh man, this guy like wins games sometimes turn one. It's like if your opponent only has one play. But True Dracos are still definitely a top deck. I'm sure a lot of you guys have played against them anyways. But for the most part, this guy, I hear he's pretty good once he comes out. You don't have an answer to it. This card is just the most annoying card for a lot of decks to deal with, honestly. Like, sometimes you have like one out to it, and then they got these, and then you're just like, okay, well, I lose anyways. But yeah. Anyways, next up with dinosaurs. The playstyle of dinosaurs is your opponent can have like a ton of advantage, and then out of nowhere you just John Cena them with a Tyranno, and you flip everything, and you just bam, 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 and then you summon one other monster to follow up, and you're super safe on your place, and you go for game. And I would say, out of all the decks, this is probably one of the more budget-friendly ones. I mean, like, what's expensive in here? Exactly. There's very few things that are expensive in this deck. But anyways, let's go ahead and jump into dinosaurs. So, Triple Max C. Next up, we have 2 copies of the Pteranodon. Then we've got 3 copies of Babycerosaurus, 1 copy of Bian, 2 copies of Suwani, then 3 of the Mecellosaurus, 3 copies of the Soul-Eating Oviraptor, 1 Flame Kaiju, double copies of True King Agumazud, and then triple copies of Lithosagum. And then we got 2 copies of the Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, then 1 Chewin, 2 copies of Draco, which is actually pretty good for synchros in the deck. I heard making this card is pretty good because this card is balanced. There's so many variants of just decks are just like thrown in like 9 branches of Yangzing just because like this card is good. It's just like I make this, I'm getting a negation. It's fantastic. And there's also this card that you can make, but triple copies Ghost Ash, again, this is really relevant right now in the game. It can stop True Dracos a lot harder than really any hand trap. Special summoning, they're not going to do too much of that sometimes. Next up, we got triple copies of Fossil Dig, then we got 1 Monster Reborn, 1 Feather Duster. These definitely help out the deck, but I wouldn't say these are super necessary. Galaxy Cyclone, excellent card. Most players are side decking multiple copies of that just because it deals with True Dracos a little bit better because banishing is good. And then we have the Yingxing Path, and then we have 2 copies of 9 branches, and then one of the newer cards, Return to the Front Lines. This is a pretty decent card. I think a lot of other builds are actually running. Some of them were running 2 copies of it. It just lets you get back other cards so you can utilize the destruction over here. Yeah, interesting enough. No field spell, I guess. I wouldn't think it's bad to throw one in, but there was most of the builds in play. I really suggest playing it. That's the way I see it, though. But this guy, he's a savage, dude. He doesn't even need the field spell. But there is another card we will get to in a second that can actually kind of make it difficult to use that. I'm not sure if he was like, you know, I'm out meta the guy that's going to play set rotation, so I don't even have to deal with it. And maybe that's his thought process. But as far as the extra deck, we got Herald, we got High Speed Chain Bara, we got Yazi, Black Rose, Boxia, Saffron Lord Omega, Chaofeng, Trish, Double Denlong, 1 Lagio, 1 Exoton Knight, 1 True King of All Calamities, 1 Enterprise Near, and 1 of the new number 41 Stall for days, and I drop my Ultimate Conductor and I try to win games. I mean, most of the time that's how he's used, but yeah, this guy, he stalls pretty well. He's a great card, and yeah, I kind of already mentioned how to play against, or play the deck's playstyle. Kind of wanted to mention that. No links, 0 for this guy over here running the dinosaurs. Next up, we have ABC. It's about like 12%-ish, if we're going by like, some of the things will be overlapping. I shouldn't mention that because someone's going to be like, wow, you went over 100%. How'd you go over 100%? It's because there's overlapping decks, meaning that if it's like a True King and it's like True King and Invoked, it's overlapping, if that makes sense. So it's counting it as multiple wins. It just made the math much easier when I was tallying up and doing everything. Because otherwise it would take a lot longer to get this video out. Let's just put it that way. But anyways, so this deck, another, again, very, very powerful deck. And in the TCG, it's even more powerful because we have 3 copies of Union, 3 copies of Terraforming. That definitely helps out. But this guy has a little bit of a spicy tech. I know we only got 1 skill drain in the TCG, so obviously just throw another Union Hanger. That's a real simple swap. But anyways, ABC hasn't done anything in the TCG, I think, for a while, but there is a spicy tech, and that's why I wanted to go over this guy's build. There was a lot of different builds of ABCs, but I like this guy's. I like, you guys know I like unique things, but anyways, first off, ABC. Triple copy of Assault Core, double copy of Crushed Wyvern, triple copy of Buster Drake. double copy of Maxi, triple copy of Lancea, also pretty dirty over here. Triple copies of Ghost Ash, double Cox. And then we have 2 copies of the newer card, Destroy Dread of the Dead Drake. Now this really helps you out with Ancient Fairy Dragon, which can actually get rid of your opponent's field spells, and that's pretty good, again, with that set rotation card, which is the card I was talking about. But yeah, this card is just really good, just lets you get out a very large tuner. Pretty good stuff, but you got to pay half your life points, but we all know paying half your life points after you've paid pretty much everything, it don't really matter. But we got 1 Pot of Desires, double Terraforming, 2 copies of Ties of the Brethren, really good in this deck. We got 2 copies of Cosmic Cyclone, 1 Twin Twisters, triple set rotation. This is a card that I was talking about where I'm like, okay, maybe he's just out-meting against set rotation, because this card has been really relevant in a lot of different decks. But anyways, it makes it so your opponent can't place their field spell, basically. And then next up we have Zombie World, Spicy Tech over here, and then we have Oracle of Zephyra. And then we have 2 copies of Union Hanger, 1 Dragon Ravine, double Skill Drain, and then we got the Solemn lineup. Obviously, Solemn Judgment is banned in the TCG, so you swap that out real easy by just throwing Solemn Strike. And then for the extract, triple Buster. A lot of people were running double Ancient Fairy Dragon when they were running this, so I know you guys would be like, wait, there's 16, he's a cheater. No, it's just because a lot of builds did actually just play 1, and there were a lot of other builds that played 2, so I would say it was like half and half. I recommend playing 2, and you can cut whatever you want out of the links, because, I mean, I don't think this deck really, I mean, if you have like an explosive hand that can go for it, I mean, I'll obviously go for it, but sometimes turn 1, you don't have options, especially with Ties of the Brethren. It ain't gonna be any special something going on. But anyways, we got 2 of the Ancient Fairies, we got Diamond Direwolf, Castell, Utopia lineup, number 41, and Exciton Knight. These are actually, okay, let me grab these cards. These are actually, Decode Talker. It just made it real easy for me to do that. And then there's also Proxy Dragon. There's a lot of builds that are playing double Proxy Dragon. And an interesting card over here, the Akashic Magician. I'm just going to go over the effect real quick because I think this card we don't have yet, but it is a link card and I figure it's relevant. Anyways, 2 monsters of the same type except for tokens, and if it's link summon, you return to the hand all monsters that this card points to, and it points to up, so you can technically get rid of like your opponent's like link card, which can actually be pretty, or I guess whatever, there's something it potentially is linked to, because obviously, well, technically you could move it, but more than likely you're not going to be able to bounce back their link card unless you have like the link build up. But anyways, what it comes down to is you can declare 1 card name, you excavate cards from the top of your deck equal to the total number of link arrows the monster co-linked with this card has to the declared, or co-linked with this card has. And then anyways, you could add the card to your hand when you excavate it, you're declaring a card, and then you just send the rest to the graveyard if it's not. So it has a little bit of potential like luck. It just lets you send cards to the graveyard. Hopefully you're getting these cards. And also this card can technically be sent to the graveyard and utilized, but... And then these are Proxy Dragons. I'm sure you guys are familiar with that one, but I'll go over it real quick just in case you guys didn't see it before. But yeah, that is the ABC. This deck, it can use link summons, but it's not a link summon like oriented deck. Obviously it helps out though. But anyways, next up guys, this is Kaiju Witches. Now this one, it's in the small minority, but it technically it's up by like a few percent points, because like most of the other ones, there's like 1 or 2 variants of not Kaijus. There's 1 or 2 variants of like other decks at top. Like we're talking like the Infernoids, we're talking Trickstars, Satellar even topped. But this one, it had like a 1% higher than everything else, which is Kaijus, not Kaiju Witches. But this is just one version I wanted to go over because this one, out of any of the decks, it was the one that utilized links the most. And I know going to link format, a lot of you guys want to try out some of the link stuff. And this one ran the most links, so this is the build that I wanted to go over for the video. Again, this is not necessarily like it's defined on the top 4 of the top 5. It's just Kaijus in general, and I thought this build was more interesting, so I figured let's cover it. So anyways, double Maxi, triple copies of Ice Spell, double copies of Glass Spell, 3 copies of Fairy Tale Luna, double Stark, Destroying Kaiju, 1 Lightning, triple of the Moth, 1 Gamma Seal, 1 Spider, 1 Snowbell, 1 Veiler, 3 copies of Ghost Ash, 1 Gofu, double Pot of Desires, 1 Interrupted Kaiju Slumber, 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, triple Cosmic Cyclone. This guy didn't want to deal with any of those continuous stuff. And then we have the Scapegoat at triple. This really is, again, the reason why I want to showcase this one off is really because it was the the one that used the most link summons, but again, link summons just aren't viable for the top spot. Keep in mind, this is like very low. We're talking like under 5% like of the top meta. So again, it's just, I kind of wanted to cover this one because you guys can tell by that. It's just the most, it had the most links, link cards in the extra deck. Well, I guess they don't go anywhere else. But anyways, triple scapegoat, that really helps you out. Just make your stuff for free. And then we have one Twin Twisters, triple macro. And this guy was a savage playing double copies of the new card Struggling Battle. This card is so dirty, it steals games, alright? Straight up, it uses auto win with this card sometimes. If you guys don't know what this does and how good this card is, turn 1, I'm going to link a video down below. You'll see the savagery that this card can pull off. But as far as the extra deck, there's only 5 synchros. We had 2 copies of Clear Wing, double copies of Crystal, and then 1 copy of Clear Wing Fast Dragon. The rest were all link cards. So anyways, how the deck plays, I should go over how this deck plays. Basically, you want to try to get some free link cards out. Hopefully you can get out a Crystal Wing and you tribute whatever is a problematic card. And what you do is if you have a Crystal Wing and you've got rid of like their big boss monster, this card is still a very big threat for a lot of different decks because it is good. It's still a fantastic card. But as far as the extra deck, because he didn't actually play these cards, alright. First off, we got the Gaia. That's what I replaced this card with. Then we have Link Spider at 2 over here. And then we have a Proxy Dragon once again. And then we have the Mrs. Radiant, which requires the Earth monsters over here. And then we have the, what did I have for this star guy? Okay, we had a Decode Talker. We also had Firewall Dragon. Apologies, I guess I accidentally closed some of the tabs here, like with Link Spider and Firewall Dragon. But Firewall Dragon is just coming out, and actually tomorrow is when it comes out. But the other card, Topologic Bomber Dragon, is actually pretty interesting. So this card just came out too. But anyways, so it requires 2 effect monsters, and then if another monster is special summoned to a zone a link monster points to, while this card monster is on the field, you destroy all of the monsters in the main monster zone, so it could like completely blow up things. That's what it's used for. And then on top of that, your other monsters can't attack for the rest of this turn, but after damage calculation, if this card attacked an opponent's monster, you get to burn your opponent for damage equal to the monster's original attack. So he can definitely finish off your opponent sometimes, so he's pretty cool from that. But yeah, like I said, these are like, this is the deck that really utilized it. It's just Kaijus in general had like a little bit, like again, like we're talking like under 5% of what was seen in the meta, but there were so many obscure decks that that had the spot for like the top 5. It's just kind of random stuff. Like there was, well, technically I would say in the OCG, the Burning Abyss is more irrelevant. There's a lot more like things that I didn't want to mention because most of you guys are from the TCG, and I wanted to get you guys ready and showcase off a bunch of different decks. Now the last one, I would say it's a random whatever, but I wanted to give you guys a Fluffle deck profile. This one did top though, okay? It's not just a random Fluffle deck. This guy had a spicy tech of Cyframes in here, so I wanted to cover this one as well. But anyways, so like there's Tricksters, there's Infernoids, there's actually variants of Spellbook, but they were Spellbook of Invoked and also Spellbook Invoked True Draco, which is really not Spellbooks as much as it just using the whole new Spellbook card for draw power. I mean, yeah, it is Spellbook, but you guys get what I'm saying. But it was all like 1 or 2 ofs, and I wanted to do Fluffles because we haven't talked about Fluffles in a while, right? So let's go ahead and go over this Fluffle deck profile. Again, I would say this isn't like the defined top 5 decks. It's more just like everything was like 1 or 2 decks. Pretty much it's Dracos, Dinos, and ABCs. Those are the top 3. The Kaijus, I would say, are pretty much are a top 4, but it's other variants of it. Again, it's not Wind Witches. But let's go over the Fluffle deck because Fluffles, people love Fluffles. I don't know why, man. This and Lunar Lights, there's so many fans for it. Maybe that's why it top, but let's go ahead and go over this because it's got a spicy tech. We got the Cyframe Driver. I would hate to draw. Actually, hold on. With this one, actually, it's not that bad. Well, I mean, the other card, I think the Field Spell, he special summons it from the deck, but he wasn't playing it. But anyways, triple Fluffle Dog, triple Penguin, triple Edge Imp Chain, triple Bear, double Edge Imp Scissors, or yeah, Sabers. 1 Fluffle Owl, double copies of Frame Gear Gamma. We got 1 Sheep, 1 Cat, triple Wings, double Effect Veiler, 1 Fright for Fusion, 1 Feather Duster, double copies of Fusion Recovery, triple Poly, triple Fright for Patchwork, 2 copies of Foolish Burial of Belongings, 1 Dark Hole, 1 Avarice, 1 Monster Reborn, double Twin Twisters, and triple Toy Vendor. For the extra deck, he had double Sabertooth, double Kraken, 1 Wolf, double Frightfur Tiger, 1 Sheep, and then the Utopia lineup. Then we got Divine Dragon Knight Felgran. We got 1 of the Predaplant Draco Stapelia. And then we got number 30 Hope Harbinger. This card, excellent, man, excellent. And then for the extra deck over here, this one would be pretty great for budget because it's just running Decode Talker and then Mrs. Radiant. Pretty easy to go for, but for the most part, I think Fluffles, like, I mean, you could game people with this card alone. Heck, this card blows up everything, and then maybe you're able to get back something from the grave, go into a link, and then just go for this and attack for days. But yeah, again, I just wanted to do it like a deck that we haven't done in a while. Like I said, Tricksters, there was one, actually. There's only one. I guess Tricksters just fell out. They just, maybe people got tired of the deck, but that deck, it was consistently, like, it was consistently there in the past couple of weeks. It just, I guess it fell off. I don't know if that deck is done goofed. But Magic Bullets, guys, for anyone that's going to say, well, what about Magic Bullets? Wasn't that going to be the best deck? That's not out yet, guys. They're still even releasing more support for it, which I got to make a video on. But guys, those are the top 5 decks going into link format. Again, we're looking at the OCG because there hasn't been a really big tournament in the TCG. At the moment, I'm making this video to really determine like what's popular. So if you guys wanted a quick summary of Fluffles, basically you just make the fusions. Yeah, it's been a deck that I think a lot of players have access to because it's a relatively inexpensive deck as well. So have some fun with it, guys. I tried to cover a variety of it, but like I said, there was Infernoids. If you guys want like the Infernoid build, let me know. Again, the other stuff like the Trickstars, we went over the Trickstars. It was actually a Satellar. Maybe we'll do the Satellar and some other stuff that's like more obscure. Again, we're talking like 1 or 2 people top out of like 100 plus. So I didn't feel like that they deserved a spot specifically for top 5. Again, Fluffles is in the same category, but it's pretty much there's like the top 3, and then the rest are just kind of there. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed seeing this. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like on it because I spent 69 years copying and, well, not copying, but I had to tally up all the decks that won over the past couple tournaments. But organization makes things so much easier. Thank you, Based Organization. You're a great website. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. And if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button if you want to know what are the best decks and, you know, get that knowledge for the future so you know what to purchase. But again, guys, there's only one deck that's really relevant, and I just kind of put it in here so it would be kind of cool. But Link guys are not that fire right now, guys. They're not like the top decks. So for those of you guys that really hate Links, it's going to be a slow introduction potentially to the archetypes that really utilize it. There's one archetype that really tried to use it, which is the Cybers, but that deck is not that popular right now. Again, who knows? Maybe Links will be more popular in the future, but as of right now, guys, that is what is in the list. These are facts, boys. But thanks for watching, and I am signing out. Wow, 22 minutes. We hit that 10-minute AdSense, boys. But we out.